Hi, guys. Welcome to Exec On AI, the podcast by exec for exec working on AI. This is the third time we're trying to make this podcast, so bear with us and thank you so much for being patient with me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to hit it the third time. We'll give it a try. We'll give it a try. Just so you guys know, we started downstairs in the lobby, and then all of a sudden there were so many people who wanted to hear us talk. They were naughty.
It was crazy.
Then we found a different quiet place, and we had a little technical difficulties. But now we got this one.
Okay, guys. So we had a full day of conference. So we just went out from the WFG Refresh conference done by the WFG company. So we're just going to tell you about that a little bit later. But it's a great event. So just check it out.
Thank you.
We are here today with Justin Tucker from Williston Financial Group. Oh my gosh.
Hey, now you nailed it the first two.
I did, right?
Nailed it the first two. No, it's all, yeah. I threw you a curveball with Williston. It's a tough one.
Gosh, thank you so much. So I think the best one to talk about you is you. Can you introduce what you do, who you are, what's your company, and mostly what's your experience with AI?
Yeah. So my name is Justin Tucker. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Williston Financial Group. Underneath Williston, we have a couple of different entities. One of them is WFG Actionable Title. That's our title insurance company in the real estate space.
Yeah.
We also have an appraisal management company called Value Trust. And then we have a technology subsidiary called My Home.
Awesome.
We're a 15-year-old company. I was employee number 4 when we started. And so I remember sitting around a table with yellow legal pads being like, we have a company. What do we want to do now? And so I've been able to be, really intimately involved throughout the years. We have been the fastest growing underwriter 9 out of the 15 years. We've been in existence. At our peak, we did about $1 billion in revenue. We have about 1,500 employees. And
impressive.
So it's just been a lot of fun.
Wow.
Right.
That's really impressive. And your job in this company is to work around strategy. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. The way that I like to explain the role is it's really where sales, marketing, product, and customer experience overlap. And so part of my role is to really kind of architect and create the plan, the 135, where our vision, along with our CEO, and make sure that we're staying true to who we are, what we want to accomplish, and what that vision is.
And part of that is working with AI.
And part of that is working with AI. Absolutely.
So I love when you were saying AI is not new. It used to be here all around. What's your experience with AI?
Yeah, it's such a good question because I liken it to like GoToMeeting was a thing, but not very many people used it. And then COVID became an accelerator for technology, and all of a sudden people figured out how to Zoom. And so part of technology is timing. AI is not new. We've been AI curious for 10 years longer, and putting our toe in the water in various places where it could be a part of our business. But then for whatever reason, the timing was right, and all of a sudden ChatGPT and OpenAI was a big deal. And now it's, you can't turn around without saying a company like, we made a toaster that has AI. Isn't it great?
Gosh, yeah.
So
yeah. It's really how many people are using AI today. It's quite impressive. It's everywhere. So I'd love to go a little bit deeper into what use cases you had last year to be really pragmatic. How can we use AI in a company?
Well, first of all, pragmatic is one my favorite word. So thank you for there's 3 primary areas that we're focused on from an AI front. And the first one of those is going to be productivity. Really looking at our systems and our processes, finding where we can trim minutes and seconds and sometimes hours out of the process. That's really important to us because I believe at the end of the day that creating connection and experiences, and we'll probably get into that a little bit later, but it's really important. And so if we can find a way to make our employees' lives easier, and we can give them time back in their day, and then that time can be used for the right activities, I mean, that's the win. I want to be really clear here when I say this too. I think one of the challenges with productivity is people think, I can now get rid of people.
That's true.
And I
we
really
hear that
don't
a lot.
want that to be the case. I want to think, what can we do with our people now that they have time? Where can we invest that time into more meaningful areas?
Yeah.
The second place for us is on the creative side, marketing and sales and some of the other stuff that we do there. And, what does it look like for us to be able to use that not only as an efficiency tool, but almost a collaborate partner in a lot of ways around creativity. And then the third space for us is just data intelligence. How can we go through large sets of data, look for signals, look for opportunities, and be proactive with all of the data, because data without action is meaningless.
It's so powerful because when a business needs to grow, it's basically the three main challenges it will have, right? It's about how do you automate to go faster? How do you create value? And then how do you get better data to make better decisions?
Absolutely.
So that's really inspiring. And for sure, I'm going to deep dive into the topic.
Yep.
Awesome. So the first topic is really about how do you automate tasks? And I think the first question in mind of everybody is, yeah, we all want to automate tasks, but how do we go about it? How do we identify the tasks that we need to automate?
I think it just starts with really analyzing the both employee and client journey, looking for points of friction. Where you can find that friction is an opportunity for you to say, hey, could we apply AI or a model to this and make life easier?
Yeah.
It's really, really important to us that we find ways to make our employees' lives easier. And so by also doing it from the bottom up instead of the top down.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a guy in a suit in the corner office saying, I have this perception, this is why we should do it. So we are very collaborative. We're going to talk with our employees. We're going to talk with our clients. We're going to hear from them, where they see the opportunity, and then we're going to go try and solve problems. And this is an old quote, but it's one that is always near and dear to my heart. Henry Ford used to have a quote where he said, if I would have listened to my clients, I would have just built a faster horse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the evidence behind that, or at least the way that I interpret that, is he listened to his clients for their problem, which is they wanted to get from point A to point B faster.
Yeah.
But all they could do is conceptualize a faster horse, and he conceptualized. So if you listen for those points of friction, they might not have the answer how to solve it, but it gives you a really good roadmap where to start spending time.
Oh, that's super interesting. So the first thing is start with your business. And the second is listen to the challenge that they're facing, but not necessarily the way they are expecting
They might
the
not know
answer.
how to solve it.
Yeah, absolutely. You are the expert on this. So awesome. So you start listening. I'm guessing a lot of people are kind of shouting everywhere, we need that, we need this. How do you go about, making the decision of prioritizing?
Yeah, for us, I mean, you want to do an audit on where you think it's going to make the biggest impact. We need an ROI.
Yes.
And so, where can we save the most time? Where can we find those efficiencies? Where can we find ways to grow market share or other things? But I also think there's a process around this, and I'll call it, it's a model that I use often, which is consume, do, iterate.
Okay, consume, do and iterate. Yeah.
The first part is the learning side of it. You
Yeah.
consume information.
Yeah.
And be curious.
Yeah.
And then through that, if you get stuck there, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So you need to get that done. And once that gets into action, you're going to learn something.
Yes.
And then after you learn something from that, you can iterate. And so the iterative process is the most important part to us. We can sit and make all of the educated guesses that we want to make.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the faster that we can try something, see how it worked, and then move to the next iteration, that's where we think with us.
And you said something really interesting when you were saying we want to, well, first solve for the friction for sure, but it's also about making the life of the employees better, listening to them and giving them more time. Can you take us through what's going to happen next? They have more time and then what?
Yeah, there's a book that I would highly recommend that you read if you haven't had a chance. It's called The Feeling Economy.
Yeah.
And it's basically how the era of AI is going to lead to the era of empathy.
Yeah.
And we tend to place a high value on things that are scarce or exclusive.
Yeah.
And so I think the more that we get connected to AI in our lives around us, the more we're going to start to value.
Yeah.
We're going to start to value the ability to be in front of someone and having a real conversation. We're going to value emotional intelligence. We're going to value, quality time. We were talking earlier that I always talk about like the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it's
Love
like,
that example.
You could go online and see it, go down to a corner store, probably buy a print of it,
Yeah.
but it is not going to be the same as you standing in front of it. And all of that, all of the emotion and energy comes along with that. So when something is rare or exclusive, we're going to place more value on it. AI should give you freedom to create more of those rare moments.
And why do you think you have this feeling? Because at the end of the day, if you print it, you are looking at exactly the same picture. So what's happening there that makes it feel exclusive?
There's a craftsmanship to it, I mean, I think that there's a level of knowing the history, knowing that someone's hand was on that.
Yeah.
And so we hear that all the time, and the difference between the value we would place on a manufactured piece of furniture versus someone who whittled and did something completely handcrafted.
Sure.
But I think that value is going to start to be way more important to us as we go along, and our ability to know that wasn't AI. It was actually a pretty interesting statistic. Like year over year, people are 14% less trusting of AI content. Like,
Okay.
I just don't want to read it. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
So knowing that, it's like, I think I was also doing an example, knowing that it's like, well, how can we signal to people that something is real?
Yeah.
So I would use like logo creation or brand creation as an example. You can go to Midjourney, you can start the process of creating a logo,
Yeah.
and you can do 80% of the work, and then you can hand that off to a client, and they might be like, yeah, that's a great logo, but I know that. Or it could be a Justin Tucker original where I sit there and I toil over it and I have sketches around.
Yeah.
I was going down different rabbit holes. And then when you get to the end, you're going to place value on the fact that you know that was a soup to nuts of custom.
Yes.
And I think that that's going to continue to be more valuable.
And also it's like the story that you're telling around it. So there's a lot of, what have you heard? What have you experienced? So the beautiful thing around this is that I'm hearing this is a great way for businesses to differentiate. If they are able to provide this exclusivity experience, this emotion to their audience, that might be the way to be
there's a great
different in the
marketing
market.
guy. He has the podcast called Unmarketing, Scott Stratton. He's phenomenal. And he always says people will remember your most recent or your most intense experience.
Yes.
And so like one of the examples that I could give from our world is, okay, so now we freed up some time for our folks. We have something called with document.
Okay.
And we would apply AI to documents. So as something that used to take someone 30 minutes to an hour for every file, and then multiply that by all of our files and all of our people. We have an AI mechanism that helps them sort that stuff as you scan it in.
Okay.
And so then you go, okay, well now what do you do with that extra time? And one of my favorite examples is we had a closer who was doing a signing, and the story goes, there were two parents that were separate, and they had to sell their family home and were moving to a new home. So the mom came in with her son, and you could tell that the son was visibly upset. There was tears in his eyes, and you can imagine, and then that brought angst or stress to the son's mom. And our closer said, hey, I need a minute. And she went back to her office, prepared a fake document with the child's name on it. She came back into the signing and said, I really forgot that we also need your permission for your new home. Did I need you to sign here? And she notarized. And the child lit up, and you could see the ease that entered the mom as that happened. And then they went and made copies of it, put folder form. And when you think about that, it's like, okay, what are the first things that go away when people are too busy? It's taking time to create types of
Yeah.
And so if I can free up our staff, our employees, to be able to have the space to create those moments, that's the good stuff.
That's funny because while I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about the experience of traveling, and just visiting a city is not an enjoyable experience. What makes it personalized is that you're living emotion, you're living moments, and you have this connection with people.
Absolutely.
So I feel like businesses that understand that and are able to create that with their audience really will outperform out there, to reuse your experience, your word for today. Outperform.
Yeah, that's the word of the day.
The word of the day. I just wanted to bounce back when you were saying, so this automation, the task automation that you're talking about with the scanning things, you were saying that it's making you go 10 times faster. So it's a lot of, is it 10 times?
Yeah, I mean, something that could take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour takes us 3 minutes.
Which is, so it's quite big impact. And so the first thing I'm hearing as a business owner, I'm thinking, okay, that's a lot of time back from my employees. I love your idea about I'm not here to replace them. What I love about this story is that actually the replacement of this time is actually natural. So the person in the position will have this additional time, and she will know right away how to use it to create this emotion, to build connection with their audience.
Yeah, I mean, the reason you don't create a moment like that is one of two things. You are either too busy.
Yeah.
You're too busy to give it that attention, or you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, if you free
You don't
up
care.
someone, if you free up someone's time, and also what's all the things that are floating through their head, then they have the opportunity to not only find those moments, but then act on them.
Yeah. So you mentioned two things. You mentioned exclusivity, and you mentioned being scared.
Scarcity. Yep.
So what's the example there?
Yeah, I mean, I collect shoes. I'm a big Jordan collector. It's like if all of a sudden it's a limited release, 30 pairs, I'm like, okay, I want one of those. And so I think that when you start to get to that exclusivity or scarcity, the more and more that AI is integrated into our lives, the more scarce this is.
Yeah.
And then when it is more scarce, the more value we will place on it. So I think that that's why I love that the era of AI falling, or the era of empathy following the era of AI.
Yeah.
It's that emotional intelligence. It's that connection. It's that, I can, even if I can't tell if that's AI or not, it's being delivered to me in a place where it could be AI.
Yeah.
The other things we were talking about here is also the laziness side of it.
Yeah.
There's this element where, like, I used to have every phone number memorized.
Oh yeah.
And now I couldn't even tell you like my mom and dad's number. Like, sorry.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
Happy birthday. But we start to create separation from actually becoming a subject matter expert.
Yeah.
If I can just press this easy button and it throws something out to me, I don't ever actually learn it. It doesn't imprint on me. So an example I would give there is I could use all tools to create a pitch deck or a deck for a presentation in 2 seconds. But then I have no actual tie or connection to it. And I actually want to go through the process of the research and going down rabbit hole and moving this slide over here, this slide over. What if I put it in this order? Because it's going to imprint on become the subject matter expert.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines is that struggle is a biological requirement of learning.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that you're going to remove subject matter expertise and that learning from people because they have an easy button. And that easy button, then it's like you create some pretty amazing content, and then someone asks you a question about it, you're like, oh, I don't know what. So I also think it has the opportunity to rob people of that, for lack of a better word, struggle, but then that ability to turn into a subject matter expert. Well, going back to scarcity and going back to exclusivity, we all want to work with people who are perceived to be subject matter experts.
Absolutely. And the funny part is we're trying to build trust, and then some of us just publish content without even reading it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about what I'm hearing from you is there's a lot around storytelling. So knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it, And then the second thing is using AI to help you, but you have to be in charge. You have to stay in control of what you're doing. So
absolutely.
So you can learn and process the information.
There's a lot of really interesting research out there about like the quality scores of pure AI content, and it has poor engagement. It has in a lot of ways poor for SEO, and so he gets really poor scores.
Yeah.
But if you do AI plus human content or AI with a human eye on it, those content scores go through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't use it to replace yourself. Use it as maybe you're stuck. To help you start getting ideas out there.
Yeah.
Or, maybe there's some really mundane, repetitive things like that don't need to be, to have your full brain and your full, storytelling, narrative telling element in it.
Yeah.
So now that you can get rid of some of that visual work, it should give you time to spend in those areas to really make that stuff personal. I do not pay attention to very generic content.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite phrases, actually. Why do we market and sell to people in ways we don't like to be marketed and sold to?
That's the basic. Go back to the basic.
Yeah.
It really does ring a bell. When I'm thinking about, for example, Midjourney. So using AI tool to create pictures. I don't think, when I am trying to do it, it's not working.
They always end up with 7 fingers.
Exactly.
Like
And if it does, it's not the picture I want. It's just like a generic content, not really valuable, not really what I'm picturing in my mind.
People do the AI photos, and I'm like, I don't look like that. This might look like that. That's awesome. I'm going to use it. What's good about this?
But then if you go and give that tool to a creative, is going to do an amazing work. So it's also about, your expertise, and what you put in there is going to create the value of it.
Yeah,
So
and you can almost look at it like a collaboration partner a little bit. Like I
love
can
that.
just kind of have this back and forth conversation. And
Yeah.
I can if say the word too much, I can keep iterating and iterating and iterating until I get to the place where I've built something really special.
Yeah, absolutely. So storytelling, purpose. Okay, cool. We've been talking a little bit about the first use case, which is automation. I'd love to know more about the second use case, which is creation.
Yeah, we're kind of starting down that path, talking about Midjourney and things like that. For us, like an example of how that became a reality is we built a product called My Home Prompts.
Yeah.
And My Home Prompts is a prompt engine specifically for our clients for real estate. Shout out to Wendy Lunt, who project managed that and built that, and we've rolled it out for our clients. But here's the kind of the process that we went through on the creative space. So real estate agents just started going like crazy when ChatGPT became a thing. Oh, it's like a magic.
Yeah.
This is so great. I love it. But they're not prompt engineers. And on the back end, they were having trouble getting from I need to tell this to do something. What it's not what I'm.
Yeah.
And so we just happen to have a team full of folks that are, marketing experts, especially in the real estate space. They built hundreds of real estate specific prompts. Those prompts, you could have just put them on a PDF,
but not easy to use.
So we put them into a prompt engine. So there are hundreds and hundreds of real estate specific prompts.
Yeah.
We added a voice analyzer feature to it. So we can go out and either ask them questions, we can copy, we can scan some of their social media, and then we can say, okay, now we are actually giving you the solution to your problem, which is, you want to use AI, but you're not a prompt. So on the creative side there, it really helps when you can simplify that process and help people get the output that they want.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to ask you the next question, which is...
I mean, you've asked it to me 2 other times. Take one and take 2. So,
we know.
Like when you write a paper and then it gets deleted, it's never as good. Like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. It's all my fault. But no, I'm for sure. What I want to ask you is, so you're well, first, I love this example. So thanks for sharing, because what we're sharing here is how you take your own value as a company. So communicate, collaborate, coexist, and you just take that and you use AI to actually deliver on this value, to build a product that is not for you, but it's for your customers.
Absolutely.
To generate value. And it's just like a great example on how can you be yourself using AI.
Yeah, I mean, the thing there is alignment. And in our industry, it's really great because we don't have a transaction unless a real estate agent sells a home.
Yeah.
And so can we find ways to partner with them, solve problems for them, help them be a better version of themselves, and they create more transactions, and we have more transactions to ensure.
Win-win.
So it's definitely a win-win. And so that kind of collaborative spirit, and back to that solving that point of friction, is just putting your ear to the ground and hearing so many agents struggling with, like, I know I need to be using AI, but I don't know how to get it to do what I want it to do. Yeah. Like, well, that's all that works.
Love that. And so the question I was about to ask you is, how did you decide that you are going to build your own stuff and not use stuff in the market, tools in the market?
I think in that scenario, there's a little bit of subject matter expertise. Right? So we have a great team of people. We wanted to build something that was proprietary and unique.
Makes sense.
Of course, we're using, engine behind it like ChatGPT, and we're putting our, overlay on it and things like that.
Makes sense.
But that doesn't also mean we haven't done situations, or we don't have situations where we're like, hey, there are way smarter people out there than us. Who built things that maybe apply into our world. So for instance, the document sorting function, we have a partner, and that partner built a really great system, and we were able to integrate and work together.
Sweet.
And so I think that it's always the buyer build conundrum, but I think there's a space for both.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. And for sure, I want to ask you about the third example. So we've been talking about automation, about creation, and you mentioned intelligence.
Yeah, this is the one where it gets scary. I won't really go into how and what we're doing on our data side, and the things that we're looking at, the signals that we're looking for. But I could give you a couple of examples how we've done that on the sales intelligence side. So we are an avid HubSpot user. It runs our whole world, and there are opportunities for us to create not only insight or intel through data, but actionable items as well. So we partner with a company called Crystal Knows.
Yeah.
Crystal does a assessment based off of someone's email. It goes out and it finds everything about them online.
So about personalities.
Gives you an AI generated personality of that person before you're making a sales call.
Yeah.
So for me, it would say he's high D. If
On the
you're
disc model,
on
yeah.
the disc model,
Just giving some context there.
he's high D. He's going to be, he's going to want to take control of the conversation. Weird. It's going to say, if you write him an email, you should probably use bullet points and not have like 15 paragraphs.
Sweet.
And so we're trying to give our sales reps insight as they're getting ready to make some of those calls. The other side of that is we have a product that we integrated with called Fathom. And Fathom is sales intelligence.
Yeah.
And so all of our sales reps are out making calls, both in person and via Zoom.
Yeah.
And what Fathom will do is first a productivity tool for the rep. It's going to record the call. It's going to create all of the notes from their call. It's going to automatically create follow-up tasks. Going to put those follow-up tasks into the CRM so there's nothing to enter for them.
Win so much time.
Save them a bunch of time. So there's buy-in there. On the other side of that, it's going to give me that sales intelligence where I can look and say, okay, let's look at our client sentiment. Where were they happy? Where were they confused?
Yeah.
Let's look at your talk time versus listening time, which I would be failing right now. Visibly, it would be red.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It would be red.
I want you to speak, so.
Or I can look for their monologue versus question.
Yeah.
We can put indicators in there like, did they ask for the order? Or we can put indicators in there like, hey, we want to talk about this specific product. What percentage of our calls did they actually bring that up?
Yeah.
And then I can dive directly into those parts of the video and do real coaching. And so there's a huge place for taking like all of the data that we have, the sales engagement and all of that data, and saying, how can we be more sophisticated with this? From enriching our data into CRM to make a sales call easier before you make it, because you know their personality, to be able to say, hey, let's rewatch some of the stuff together. This is where your client was a little confused before coming together.
Which reminds me where you started this conversation by saying data without usage is just
pointless, meaningless.
Pointless. Yeah, exactly. So here is about how can you gather data, structured data from your CRM. So did you make a call? Did you have an email? But also unstructured data, like what was the sentiment on the call? What was happening?
Absolutely. And I want to keep reinforcing, like we were talking about earlier, it's not, oh, we got AI involved so we can be more productive so we can get rid of people.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, we implemented this so I can look over a sales rep's shoulder and make sure they're doing. No, it's not. It's about how we empower people to be better versions of themselves and give them insight that's actionable.
And the hardest part when you have like a challenge and then you have a solution is to get people onboarded. So how do you do that? How do you get people to actually collaborate with you?
Yeah, if we take that from the first part of our model, it's like we're very bottom up. And so first of all, we're trying to solve the problem that they've already brought to us.
Yeah.
So coming back to someone with a solution to a problem they presented is a good way to get buy-in.
For sure.
The second part of that is like a lot of times we're taking things they hate doing and like, oh, I hate doing document sorting and we're solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
So from that regard, we get a lot of buy-in on that side of things. But the other example or the other advice that I would give in that situation, it's all the old cliches. How do you eat an elephant? You know, how do you boil or don't boil the ocean?
Yeah.
To us, it's like, just take that first step and you're going to go through that process of learning and it's not as scary as you want it to be. And we were talking last night about if the only people who are involved with AI are people doing nefarious things, then there isn't the other side of that coin of people who are using it in the right way to combat it. And so I know it's scary. Everyone thinks that, Terminator, Skynet, the world's going to be coming to an end. But from our standpoint, it's like, guys, this can really save you a lot of time if used the right way. And then with that timeline.
When you were saying earlier in the previous episode, so when we have a villain, we need superheroes.
Yeah, you just have a bunch of villains. And then you have Gotham City needs Batman.
I love that. I wanted to ask you as well, like, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud, how can I formulate that question?
Yeah.
But basically, so we are talking about risk mitigation. Yeah. I know that this is a big thing for your business in real estate. So some people are using AI for making your life harder, basically. Yeah. Can you tell us about
Well, there's your superhero and your villain. I mean, it's like one of the big issues in our world is both the identity theft can be a part of it, and then wire fraud. And so as we're closing a real estate transaction, you have a buyer of a home that's going to wire us funds, and we're going to put that into an escrow account. And then when the transaction is over, we're going to send that money to the sellers. And a lot of the ways we would validate that in the past to make sure that no one was, phishing in someone's email and doctor and sending our way, is we would have conversations over the phone.
Yeah.
So now it's like I can go to a site like 11 Labs. I can find someone's, voicemail or video. I can copy their voice. I can then, type anything I want into that and have that person say it. And it's like, there's a challenge or a risk there. And so part of that is we need to be good stewards of customer experience. Isn't just about making people happy, about protecting.
So it's also about finding this additional time to do stuff that you're not used to do, because the technology is evolving and your role is also evolving with technology, right?
Absolutely.
And I think the challenging part here is you see how AI can be a challenge for companies, for your customers. It's making your life harder as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do use AI in your day-to-day. So my question here is, how do you balance, being impactful on a positive way while being aware of what's happening and the risk that it might be for the business?
It's a great question. I think it's a more simple answer than we would think, which is like, we all know when we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. I mean, can you lay your head on the pillow at night and say like, oh, I'm making a positive impact, or I'm doing something that I should be doing? And then the other part of that is use other people as a litmus test to say like, hey, can I run this by you? I just, want to like, how would you feel about this? But I think if you're always interacting and engaging with your customers and you're constantly seeking their feedback, they're going to be the best guide for you in that process.
Yeah. I love this collaboration part coming back on the play.
Well, we were talking about core values, and like, I'm a sales guy at heart, and then I went back to school and got my master's degree in marketing. And I truly believe that you have to have that alignment with your core values. And if your core values are not followed through with action, then your culture is just really one of hypocrisy. Yeah. So from that standpoint, we ask ourselves the question all the time: how do we make our core values true? Yeah. So if one of your core values is about how, do you protect the customer, or how do you make sure that you're not taking advantage of the customer, you have to ask yourself, are you making that true?
Oh, absolutely. I love this two sides of the way of looking at it. The first one is just ask third parties. Don't be alone in your decision. But also you can ask yourself, like, so just,
take we're ownership. On the superhero kick. It's like, with great power comes great responsibility.
Marvel.
There you go.
Awesome. I'm conscious of your time. This is like, thank you so much for doing this.
Happy to.
I just want to finish with the challenges you've been facing. So what is the main challenge you've been facing with an AI project?
Yeah, I think the main challenge for us is people want to do everything. I mean, it's interesting, it's fun, it's exciting, and yet everyone's working with limited resources and a limited budget. And so I think really having a process in place for being able to vet, like, where are we going to spend time and money? So reflecting back and going back to those core values, like one of our cornerstones, we have 5, but one of our cornerstones is take the time and cost out of real estate. Mm-hmm. We believe that there's a way to take a 45-day transaction and make it a 20-day transaction. We believe there's a way to drive down the cost in our industry. If we can successfully do those things, we're honoring our commitment to our customers. Yeah. And so if we're getting all excited about an idea, we step back and say, well, would this idea actually take? And if the answer to that is no, we have to give ourselves permission to say, yeah. And so from that standpoint, it is really just about starting with the clarity on who you are and what you want to accomplish. Yeah. And then making sure things that you're investing time and money and energy into are in alignment with that.
Love that. Love that. Last question for you, I swear.
We don't know. We might take 4.
That's it.
There might be another one. We don't know.
Okay, so last question is, knowing what you know today, what would you do differently? Like, for people out there that are watching us and say, okay, I want to start an AI project, what's the quick path I can take?
Yeah, I wish that I could give you a better answer about like some radical thing that we learned that changed everything. But I'm going to go back to the principle of iteration. And there's nothing I would do different, because everything taught us something that was, we thought this was going to be a home run and it was a single. Oh, thought this was going to make an impact and it didn't. And the quicker you can disassociate yourself from an emotional tie to the idea and be able to say, oh, that one didn't work, let's go to the next one. Do I have time to tell a story?
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
I mean, this is not AI specific, but it kind of gives a little bit of representation. When we started WFG, I was 28 years old. I walked into our CEO's office and I was like, I have a great idea for a website called WFG. It's going to do all these.
Okay.
And the reality of it is the reason that you have never heard of that or will never hear of that is it was a massive flop. It was horrible, horrible site. He funded it. He gave me the opportunity to build it. And what I did is I kind of went back into my shell and went back to where I was comfortable. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go out and sell it. And I'll credit my CEO, a gentleman named Pat Stone. He called me one morning. He said, hey, I want you to come to my office and get here a couple hours early or get here an hour early. Never a good thing when your CEO is like, I need you here early. I walk into his office in the morning. I'm like, oh, where's the pink slip? But I walk into his office and he grabs his keys. He said, let's go for a drive. We get in his car and we're pulling down the freeway. He's totally setting me up, by the way. He's like, how's life? How are you dating? You know, what's going on? And just having that whole conversation with me. And then he pulls off the off ramp, pulls down a side street, turns the car off, swivels in the chair. He goes, what happened with WFG tools? And it's like, it's like, you know, full of excuses. And he goes, listen, I am not mad that WFG tools wasn't successful, but I am furious that you didn't learn something from it and you weren't in my office pitching me the next thing to do. And through a couple of iterations of that, we ended up developing our My Home product, which is a consumer collaboration portal. And it is a cornerstone product for us. It's an award-winning product for it, and it stems out of failure. So like, I just do not believe in the fact of saying, well, I wish I didn't have to go through that. Just going through that.
It's kind of what you were saying about the learning process. You have to endure and, you know, to take the lesson. Well, what a way to finish this quote. Thank you so much. That was really insightful and inspiring. So really appreciate all the feedback. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We did it.